Hello, everyone. Welcome to the KDK podcast. This is Kong.
Yo, it's Dalla.
What's up? This is Koo.
Today, we'll be talking about some of the big, successful Asian films in the United States. The four films that we'll be talking today is Gran Torino, Crazy Rich Asians, Parasite, and Mulan. Starting off with the movie Gran Torino. If some of you don't know, it's a film by Clint Eastwood about a white veteran whose neighborhood is now filled with Hmong people. And so we can talk about our overall thoughts about that movie first. My overall thoughts about that movie is that I have a mixed feeling about that movie.
Okay.
Overall, production-wise, technical perspective on the movie, I thought the movie was good. It was shot beautifully. Writing was pretty good. However, what I don't like about it is, everyone's negative feeling about it. The one moment where they kind of misrepresented Hmong people, and one of my main reasons why I hate, or not hate, but dislike this movie, is the message of the white savior. So
What is it about the message of the white savior?
that's true. Okay, so again, the movie, it's about a white Korean War veteran, and he's now having his neighborhood filled with Hmong neighbors. So he's not, at first he's kind of hostile towards them, like, man, he's been in the Korean War, so he probably has something against Asians.
Yep.
And he has this negative outlook on Hmong people because, at that time when Hmong people moved to America, they're like struggling and all that. They don't really follow American ways, so it's really unfamiliar. However, he then kind of warms up to his neighbors, which is this Hmong family. The two other main characters, which is a Hmong lady and a Hmong guy. I do apologize, I forgot the names in the movie.
But old movie too. So
yeah, so he kind of warms up to them, and there's just this white savior message where the main character, who's Hmong, he's always getting bullied by Hmong gangs, and all of a sudden, like, Clint Eastwood, he's kind of old, and he was kind of old in the movie. All of a sudden, he's like beating up fucking people who's it was like fucking in the 20s and shit.
He was punching windows, his arms.
Yeah, and it was just kind of like I think I told you guys in the past. Like, I wrote a paper about this in college, like about it having like a white savior kind of message, and Clint Eastwood's character, he's always saving these two other main characters. The Hmong brother and the Hmong sister. And yeah, that's just how I feel about it overall. Like, film wise, it was shot good. Some of the writing is good, but message wise and all that I think it was bad.
okay. Yeah, I can see why you feel that way. It's but I guess it is an American-made movie, so the white savior guy has to be the savior, right? Yeah. So Gran Torino is funny because I have not seen that movie, and I guess the reasons why I haven't seen it, like, it was hype in the beginning, Hmong movie, it's featuring some Hmong movie, and knowing that Clint Eastwood is a pretty major director, he's directed a lot of big films, and I don't know, like, I was hyped to watch it, and then for some reason it just kind of like slowly died on me, and I just never got around to watching it, and I've heard mixed reviews on it, like people say, oh, I don't like it. Most people that I've heard from, they say they don't like it. So I'm like, why would I even watch it now that it's been so many years now? So I personally have not seen the film, unfortunately. So that's only my thoughts. Just I was kind of hyped about it, and then the hype died for me. Maybe I'll watch it sometime soon. But
So did you feel like you didn't watch it because it just wasn't your type of movie, and if it was kind of outdated by that time?
I think mainly because also hearing the feedback from people.
I
People
feel
are
like maybe when the hype was there, you were excited to watch it, but it kind of died down. And you just felt like, all right. and I guess life just kind of moved on.
Yeah.
And then he
Yeah.
just kind of, oh shit, I forgot
Yeah.
about this movie.
Yeah, just that's exactly it. You know, it was hype, and then I was gonna get to watch it, and then I didn't, and then hearing some reviews, some people saying, "Oh, it was whack," and then it was just, okay. There's no point in watching it anymore.
Yeah.
So
I watched it. I forgot if I watched it in the theaters or not, but I remember watching it. And the main Mon character, the guy, he actually went to our high school. So in high school, I heard a lot of people talk. Oh yeah, he went to our high school. So I was like, okay, cool. And then I watched it. I thought it was okay. To me, it's nothing. It's nothing that you would look back on and be like, "Yo, this is where they actually cast Hmong people." You know, specifically looking for Hmong people and try to display the Hmong tradition and cultures. But I thought it was okay. I guess a lot of stuff that I saw on there, it did, even though it did show some of our culture, a lot of it was over exaggerated. Like when they cut the chicken's neck, they had the knife, they brought the knife up and just slashed it. And I thought to myself, wait, what?
yeah,
Yeah, man, you're supposed to slice the throat and let the blood leak
Yeah.
out, and then
They,
you
they
know
were
do
like just
thing.
holding it like this, and like what? What are you guys doing?
yeah,
And then just some stuff that to me I felt like okay, that doesn't really represent specifically what we are, but I guess in a sense it does show some stuff. But to me, it wasn't really anything outstanding. I never saw anything that I could memorize, and I could be like, whoa, this is amazing. I love this scene when this happened. I couldn't really see anything like that. I just thought, okay, it was good because I saw my Hmong people in there. They spoke Hmong, and that's pretty much it. It wasn't really anything to the point where I could specifically say, oh, this is a classic scene right here where you could quote or you could be like, oh, it's not like yeah, basically it's not like one of those classic movies. And in a sense, it's not something that I expected to be like that because it is probably just a start. But just in general, if I were to rate it or just to think about how I feel about it, it was okay, but it's not something that I could say that I will always I would always refer everyone to, you know.
One thing that made it hype was that Coop mentioned they did get Hmong people to play Hmong people, right?
yeah, which was dope.
Yeah. So, but that being said, talking about our ratings on that movie, Gran Torino, Coop kind of already gave his thoughts. What rating would you give for that movie?
So obviously I haven't seen it, so I can't
Oh,
give a rating.
yeah.
But,
I'll talk more about
yeah.
my rating then.
But yeah,
So yeah, again, it's okay. Some parts of it I did see like, all right, this is cool. It does kind of represent us, but overall, it's like it doesn't really push. It's like you said, like when they had the white savior, the main character, if you really think of it, was Clint Eastwood. You know, it wasn't really the main characters wasn't really the Hmong people, but they were there, and a lot of the times they were just needing a lot of help from Clint Eastwood, pretty much, and they were all asking him for help or needing help from him. And the enemies are pretty much Hmong too, the Hmong gangsters. So I thought, okay, I mean, it's cool and all that, but I guess they needed Clint Eastwood for that Hollywood hype to bring in the general public people to watch it. But that's something that maybe I could be proud of seeing my Hmong people. But if I were to rate it in general, it's just okay. It probably wouldn't be the best. I've seen specific just Hmong movies for Hmong people that I liked way better.
Yeah, I agree. And before I talk about like my rating, I kind of want to just bring up a little bit more about why a lot of Hmong people specifically don't really like that film. I could mention like kind of exaggeration or interpretation of what that movie did for Hmong people. Again, he mentioned like just all of a sudden Hmong people just don't know how to kill chicken right. Just chop off their head, you know. Another big example that I felt was there was a scene. Again, you know, white savior. It was after.
Was it when he moved when they
Wait.
brought off their flowers?
Yeah,
and
it was.
shit
Yeah,
to
it
his
was when
doorstep?
Clint
Yup.
Eastwood saved the main Hmong character guy from getting beat up from gang members, and so every Hmong person in the neighborhood now on his doorstep fills up his doorstep with flowers, food like chicken, a whole hog with the apple in its mouth and all that.
Dang.
It was like when we first saw it, like we don't do that, you know,
Yeah,
like
Didn't say, oh, it's like to say thank you to.
Yeah.
Like, man, most people don't do that.
we don't do
A
that.
lot more
yeah.
people just stay to themselves.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, he
So,
helped us.
yeah, that's the thing. That's why that movie with the Hmong community kind of get like some pushback because it's just kind of why even do that, you know?
Yeah.
Like why we don't do
Yeah.
that. But going to my rating, I give it a 2.5 out of 5, an average movie. Again, I think it was shot well. Some dialogue were written really well, but just the inner Hmong in me with that representation and all that kind of got miscued. You know, the usual typical Hollywood way. Again, that movie wasn't really anything amazing.
And just in a sense, because I know since we're specifically Hmong and we watch it and we see it through Hmong people's eyes, I try not to just rate it because I kind of try not to rate it because I'm Hmong, so you have to be specific about everything. Because even me, myself, I'm not specific about my own Hmong culture, you know. I don't know everything about my own culture. So I try not to judge them by that. So even outside of just the Hmong culture that they're misrepresenting that I know, just outside of that, not judging that, the movie within itself, besides that, I don't really see anything too specific to the point where I can memorize it or I like it so much better than my other movies I've seen.
Yep, I agree. Again, even though there's that setback with the misrepresentation among people and the white savior message, I still there's not a reason for me to watch that movie again. Like I thought it was beautifully written, shot, but still it doesn't really give you a reason to watch it again. It's a good one-time watch.
But I guess it's good for the general public because I remember when we met this guy from Europe, he looked at us and then he pointed at us. He was like, Hmong? And we're like, what? Yeah, we're Hmong. How you know? He said, I saw Gran Torino. So we're like, oh, okay, cool. So I guess in a sense for the general public, it's good for them to just see Hmong people on the screen, which is a good thing. But if you're just talking about the movie in general, it's nothing outside of the extraordinary for me. But it's a good start, well, I would say.
Yeah, that's so funny because I have a story about that too, where I was playing game online and I was playing with some strangers, and the dude was like, "Are you Asian?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "What kind of Asian?" I was like, "You'll never guess what kind of Asian I am." And I was like, "For real? You Chinese?" Like, "Nope." Japanese? Like, "Nope." I was like, "Again, you're not gonna guess who I am." And then said, "All right, fine. What are you?" I was like, "I'm Hmong." And he was like, Gran Torino! He was like, I know Hmong, you're Gran Torino. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, oh shit, that's kind of crazy that, you know, people know what Hmong people are just because of that movie, you know? So it's kind of dope too. But again, it sounds like you guys would not recommend me to watch this movie.
I would say watch it, but it's just my opinion. I'd say to anyone who hasn't watched it, just watch it. But it's just my personal opinion. It's not like a movie where I see that super trash where I could say, no, don't watch that movie.
Yeah, the
you
movie's
know?
not trash for sure.
Okay.
It's not trash for sure, but it just doesn't meet my expectation. I guess because we're Hmong, so we kind of have an expectation of it.
Right.
And it specifically has Hmong people in it, which, again, when I kind of just take that outside of me judging the movie, it's just okay. It's okay movie for me.
Yeah, and if people didn't know, that movie did win a lot of awards. It won like a lot of awards, like critically acclaimed, awards internationally. So that movie worldwide is pretty well known. Plus, come on, you put Clint Eastwood's name on something, it's gonna blow up. Yeah, but moving forward, do you guys feel that Gran Torino set Asian movies forward or backwards?
I have no opinion since I haven't seen it. So go ahead, Coop.
Then why am I even waiting for
I
Dala?
keep fucking,
it's
I keep
okay.
forgetting. I'm
Alright.
sorry, I don't mean to cut.
Asians, specifically like Asians, the race.
Asian-
It doesn't set them up anywhere, but I feel like
Asian,
Hmong
but-
people,
Yeah.
it sets them up forward because I feel like this is where the standard is, well, not the standard. This is where I guess we started, and then beyond that, where we going to go? It's not really like they set the standard high, but they set the standard in general. So it's not to me. They didn't set it back or too much forward, but I say at least they set it forward just being a part of this type of film that shows white people who Hmong people are. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I think it set the Asian community, more specifically Hmong people, forward. Again, they use real Hmong people to be the actors and actresses, so that did like give a leeway for the Hmong people specifically to become an actor or actress now, right?
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about Mulan later, but the gangster in Gran Torino played the fat dude in Mulan.
Yep.
Yeah, so it did build that leeway. So I did feel that it more than anything it did make a positive or forward moving impact on Asians. More, if you're talking about more in general with the Asian community, it still does a forward or a good positive impact because now people are seeing Asians on the big screen. So maybe that can lead to more Asian casted films. And we mentioned that people now know what Hmong people is now, right? Like out of nowhere. Like who's mentioned a dancer from Germany or Europe. Oh, you guys are Hmong people, Gran Torino. So I think that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, it's crazy because even in Minnesota, there's still people who don't know that there's Hmong people who live here. And
Yeah.
Minnesota is like one of the biggest Hmong communities out there. You know, obviously California and everything too, but like Minnesota is one of the major ones. So it's just crazy how some people don't know who we are. So the movie does kind of show us to the world, like, hey, we're out here. Yeah. So up next, the next big major film we have is Crazy Rich Asians. You know that movie was hype as heck when it was coming out. It was one of the biggest movies that starred Asians and was pushing the big Asian wave, you know, having Asians as the main starred people. That movie is, of course, is about a regular girl who dates a really, really wealthy man, and she follows him to his friend's wedding in Singapore. And she has issues with their rich family, or his mom is really disapproving of her, and then she has to fight that battle. But overall thoughts in that movie, the hype was crazy, so I expected it to be super dope, super cool. I forgot to mention it is a romantic comedy movie, so it's supposed to be funny and fun to watch. I guess when a movie's so hyped, I expect so much
Yeah.
from it, you know.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. Almost every single Asian friend of mine said, "Must watch, must watch,
you have
must
to
watch, best
Go
Asian
watch it
movie
in
ever."
theaters again.
And I mean, it was kind of dope seeing other ethnicities saying it was actually a good movie too. So it just wasn't the Asian in us saying, "Yo, this is one of the best romantic comedies out there." Like other ethnicity actually say, "Oh, that's actually a really good one." And overall, it was a decent film. I enjoyed it. I don't think it lived up to the hype, but it was cool just because again, it was like the new wave for having
Yeah.
fully casted Asian movies starring it. So that's my thoughts on Crazy
Yeah.
Rich Asians.
My thoughts on it. When I first heard Crazy Rich Asians, to me, I knew I don't relate to this shit. My family don't grow up. My family's not rich.
Yeah.
In general, like a lot of Hmong people aren't rich. We're pretty much just like Southeast Asian people wish general Southeast Asian people grew up from the dirt pretty much. So I knew this is probably like the type of rich Asian people, But I still feel alright. It's still Asian cast. I still want to go watch it just so I could see the movie. So I want to go see it at the theaters. I actually thought it was good. I don't think it's good to the height where people say it's one of the best movies, and everyone's been saying you guys have to go watch it again at the theaters to support it. To me, I support it by watching at the theaters already, and then I thought it was a good movie. To me, I guess when I see something that says Asian, I kind of hope was thinking for me to relate to it because I'm Asian myself. But I guess the crazy rich is the part where I'm thinking, okay, maybe it might not relate to me being type of Asian I am. So I'm gonna go watch it. I thought it was good. I liked it. The story was good. I liked the acting. Everything was good. It wasn't like the hype that everyone set it out to be. It was just good. It wasn't where it was set Asian people at like, whoa, Asian people, all Asian cast, Asian director could set movies up like this. It was just like, okay, it was good, but not to the extent where people set it up to. That was my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, um, I didn't really watch this
What?
movie fully. I'm sorry, I failed you, my Asian community. I did not go to the movie theater to show my number and power for Hollywood that we want Asian cast of movies. And the reason being is I'm those type of guys where if it ain't for me, it just ain't for me, man. I
Why
don't.
is it not for you then?
So knowing the storyline and being a rom com, it's not a movie where I'm like, hell yeah, I'm gonna go watch. It, and that shows. And when I watch it, I couldn't finish it in one sitting, one sitting.
Mm-hmm.
I'll watch it at the beginning, or I'll fall asleep or do something else. And then, another time I'm like on an airplane. I'll watch it. I'll skip to the middle, fall asleep, and then like it happens like kind of like that. And then I'll see on TV playing, and it's towards the end when he's in the plane trying to stop her from leaving. I'm like, all right, I haven't seen this movie fully, but I already connected the dots. You know what's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why I didn't watch it like that is it didn't really appeal to me. And the only reason for me to go watch is to support Asians in a Hollywood level type of film. Being a rom com, like I do like watching rom coms, but they gotta be humorous rom coms, and I feel like this movie wasn't really humorous rom com.
Humors?
Yeah, like funny comedy, like
There was some funny
driven.
parts for me.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, also know the storyline. Being rich Southeast Asian people in Malaysia or Singapore. I, I didn't really relate to that, and I just want to bring up, just because we're all Asians, don't mean we can relate to all Asians too.
Yeah.
That's the thing about it. There's so many different kind of Asians, so it's like it is cool, but it just never really driven me to want to watch it. That's all I gotta say about it. Yeah.
Okay, so what would you guys rate the movie? I would rate it probably a 3 out of 5, just for it's okay. It was a good watch, you know.
I'd do a 3 out of 5 too. I think it was a good movie. I would say go watch it because it's a good movie, but it's not the high expectation that everyone says it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's still a good movie that I will go watch though.
Mm-hmm.
No, I can't really give it
Yeah,
a rating.
he said no.
But again, it's just not my type of movies, man. That's the thing, man.
So do you say that this movie, set Asian starred representation movies forward, or do you feel like it doesn't? And for me, with the hype, I feel like it kind of moved it forward, but then it's kind of slowly died too, through all the years. So I feel like, yeah, it kind of pushed it, but it's kind of dead now.
Yeah, to me, it did push it forward just a little bit because of the hype. Because this is different from Gran Torino. Gran Torino has white cast. They have Clint Eastwood. This one is all Asian cast, right? So it just set the hype forward, but the expectation that everyone was expecting, I feel like it wasn't all that. I still wanted, or I guess maybe just because the storyline it was good for me, which I was satisfied. But if you're telling me to set it forward, it's going to set Asian people forward. I wouldn't say so. So, but it did set an expectation for me, or I guess in the general public. So I guess that is setting it forward.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I would say, even though I saw the movie in different settings, I would say it did definitely push the Asian community forward. Thinking about like professional, business wise, now it I'll explain everything in total, but starting off, it kind of gave a pathway for all these struggling Asian actors and actresses, right? Who once in a while will have an opportunity in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
So it did step forward like that, and it did kind of just. I don't know if this is true, but I just feel like being, whether it be Asian casted, fully Asian casted movie or other ethnicity fully casted movie, on a Hollywood level, it'll just bring more awareness or normalcy for the general public who's not that ethnicity, right?
Mm-hmm.
To that community. But overall, I think Hollywood is Hollywood still. Like we said, everyone's like, yo, go watch the movies so Hollywood will know we want more Asian movies, which it kind of did, but it's not like Asian movies now flourish in Hollywood. It's just once in a while, boom, once in a while, boom. Still, it's more like the indie films now. The indie films there are like good indie Asian films that are Asian casted. So I did think it pushed it forward, but like still not like all the way. Like we say, you can say like yes, it pushed like the Asian community forward. It did push it forward, but it nothing much really changed. I feel like.
I would say the best part about that is you get to see who the actors and actresses are,
Mm-hmm.
and I would say follow their work, because I didn't know who Aquafina was.
Right,
When I
right.
saw that, I was like, oh, damn, I like this girl, and then I started following her, and I saw her other movie, and I liked her other movie,
Yeah.
the movie when her grandma
Yeah,
was
she
passing
went to visit her grandma who's
and
passing away in
that
China.
I like that way better.
Yeah.
So I would say that's what sets it forward too, because even if you don't like it, you get to see the faces and the actors and actresses. But you don't like this work, but just follow them and their other work. Maybe you might like their other work, because this movie just doesn't define their career in general, which is, I guess, a good part. But just the movie in general, where people are hyping it so much, no.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah,
yeah. So Cooley, do you think it represents Asian correctly? I feel like we couldn't relate
good.
to.
We just don't really relate.
Yeah, we
to
just
it.
don't
I
really
just
relate to.
feel like
I
that.
know
the
there's
rich
rich ass
people.
Asians.
I
you
just
know.
feel like for that ethnic, like Asians from Singapore, yeah, probably,
Yeah.
yeah. But
some Asians.
but
There's
like you
always
talking
those,
about, yeah,
yeah.
Hmong people.
maybe some rich Hmong people. I know there's some rich
Yeah.
Hmong people out there,
Yeah.
but yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
So that being said, next movie, Parasite. So in generality, Parasite is a movie about this family who's poor, and they found work at this rich family's house. And it started with the son, and he slowly started getting his family work at the same house, and slowly they kind of started taking over the house, and they started living at the house. But what they didn't realize was there was another family that was living at the house, which was the maid who lived there before. There's just a big twist and turn to that, but there's a bigger meaning to that, and we'll get into that. So I just want to talk about what are you guys' thoughts and feelings about that. I'll start first. I thought it was an excellent movie. I thought it was really good. I kind of already felt that there was a twist to it, because people said you just gotta watch it and you'll see what happens. To me, I saw that as, all right, there's gonna be a twist to this. But then when I watched it, I thought it was a really good movie. Just seeing how the movie was shot too, does show the meaning of the different classes. There's the rich class and the poor class, and then they show how the poor class is trying to get up there, but then in general they always go back to being poor, and uh, there's like a totally big meaning to that, and I could discuss it later. But I thought that was a good movie. I liked it. I'm glad that it was a Korean film that hit the U.S. market and won awards, because to me, I feel like it was new. It was natural. It didn't. they didn't aim for the U.S. market. They just made a great film. It hit the U.S. market, and that to me made the mark. But what do you guys feel?
Uh, I thought it was a really good movie. I feel like I didn't like it as much as everyone did, but it's a personal thing. I'm a Korean thriller movie fanatic. Like I've probably seen all the Korean thriller movies out there. So hearing the hype about it, and I love how the community didn't spoil it, because now you're okay. You know, knowing Korean films, you know there's always gonna be a twist. So I'm like, I love that. I love twists. I love turns. So I watched it, and well, I did my research. It's a comedy thriller, and when I think about Korean thriller right away, I think about murder, killing,
Damn.
detective. So I'm like, all right, hell yeah, I love that. So it's kind of like I kind of set up myself up that way. That's why I didn't enjoy it as much, but the movie for what it is, it's really good. It's really well written. Uh, the thing about this movie that I like is it's a movie that has no genres. It's a comedy movie, love movie, family movie, thriller. So that's why I love about like this movie taking up the next level where it's just not sticking at one genre how movies usually do. But overall, yeah, I think it was a really good movie. The hype, it was hyped up for a reason, and I think it was good. Yeah.
For sure, for sure. Yeah. Parasite to me was phenomenal, man. Yeah, it was a really, really great film. When I really, really like a movie, I research it a lot too. So like Ku was saying, the way it was shot, the cinematography of it, I researched all that too, and how if the way the director shot, some angles and some of the following shots, it just shows the class representation from each how each scene is shot. I thought that it was pretty funny. Its funny moments, the thriller, the unexpected twists in it was very, very dope, very interesting. And overall, it's like something that can actually happen in real life too. So it's like, oh man, this could be something that legit happened. So that you could see how crazy it would be if that was the case. But yeah, I enjoyed the movie so much. I watched it twice just to
Hey.
just to like see, okay,
Just
what else
kidding.
did I miss, or what are some of the shots that the director legit did on purpose, and why did he shoot it this way, why did he shoot it like that? And then of course again I did a bunch of like YouTube researches and seeing how the cinematography was a really big part on why the film was so great too. And I mean overall good story, good shots and everything. Enjoyed it a lot. Yeah.
So I do want to bring up, like I mentioned, I didn't like it as much because of my own personal expectations. So again, I thought the twist was gonna be there was a scene in the movie when the family they're already moved all in, and the the poor family they already moved in because the rich family they were going on a vacation trip,
Mhm.
and they found out that the previous maid who worked there they're already living in the basement, right? But before they revealed that, there was this tense scene where like the maid came, hey, I gotta come back in, I gotta come in, and they let her in, and then she opened this dungeon door to the basement, like a bomb. What do you call it? A bumper?
The bomb hideout. Whatever.
Yeah, and then now I'm thinking, is she crazy? Are they gonna get killed? I'm thinking all these things. I imagine this. Yo, what's gonna happen from here? And then the twist was, well, there's many twists, but for that scene, that twist for that moment was, oh, they've been living here too. So there's like that parallel. Oh, these two are kind of roaching off of the rich family. These two families, right? So I think when that was the twist for that moment, I was like, oh, okay, that's good. But I kind of like when that moment said, oh, what's gonna be the twist? I kind of like my imagination went here when the twist was here, you know. So I was like, oh, dang, okay. But another thing, another thing I kind of didn't really feel about the movie was kind of the first third of the movie when there was this repetitive pattern where, oh, the son is now a tutor there. Oh, they don't really care about who works for them. They don't really look at their background. Oh, I know a guy can be a taxi. He hooks his dad up. Now you know they're gonna hook one by one each family member up for a job to work for that family. And when it was still in that phase of that movie, I already knew that was gonna happen. So I'm kind of bored already. But I already, cause I know one by one they're gonna get each other to work there. That was just kind of like one small flaw that I just wasn't really feeling there. But other than that, the movie was pretty great. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess going on with the movie, kind of liked it because it showed the levels with the movie. Because it showed like even when the maid was still living there, she had obviously a secret bomb base, which is in the basement, which kind of shows she's still in the lower class, so she still her husband still living in the basement. And in the beginning of the movie, it showed the main character's family living in the basement too. And when they're peeing on their window, it kind of shows the level. All right, these people are dirt cheap. They're at the bottom of the bottom, which is kind of like people are pissing on them because they're dirt cheap. They're so poor. But when they finally came up there, and then when they actually had to run away, and the way it was shot, when they actually run away, they were running down the stairs, which they're kind of running back down to the lower class because they're still poor, and then their house was flooded
Yeah.
and all these stuff that they had to like deal with that the rich people never had to deal with. And I think that was just powerful. But
I I I I want to add on that movie has like a lot of metaphors. Like who said, literal heights of someone's house is represents their class.
Mm-hmm.
Who mentioned when the poor family had to run back to their house because it was flooding. It visually shows you they're running back to a shithole. It's raining really hard. It's flooding. Where's all the water going? Down where they're going to their house. It's like little like visual representation and metaphors like that. I thought was really cool. I was gonna say something else, but I forgot. Shoot.
I think
yeah,
I think one of the big thing too is I like that the movie didn't lean on one side too much. It was just like we're right in the middle. You're not cheering so much for the rich people. You're not cheering so much for the poor people. It's just like, okay, the rich people they're genuine nice people. They're not assholes. Like they're nice. They're a nice rich family. They just kind of doing what they do, and the poor people are nice poor family. They're just trying to get to where they get. So it doesn't force you to choose a side. Like, oh, I want the rich people to figure out, or oh, I want the poor people to succeed. You're just kind of like in the middle, and then all of a sudden shit's just breaking down for both families. So it's really like that.
Say that. Yeah,
Mm.
I agree. The movie didn't really have. It does have a protagonist, but it doesn't really. What traditional movie is like. There's a protagonist and antagonist. It doesn't really say this is the antagonist, this is the protagonist, because when you think about the movie, if you think about in a general sense, you think the rich people are the bad people, but really, they're good people too, and but then it shows like everyone has their own flaws, right? The main characters who are poor are leeching off the rich people. The rich people, they're kind of like asshole in their own way, but they're still good people. Like the father is still a good father to his son, all of that too. So that's what I like about the movie too. Like it kind of what Dallas says. You're in the middle and you're just experiencing it.
and just like towards the end when the father got stuck in the house, so he had to live where like the bomb bunker was. He's still living at the bottom. He's just coming up every other time to take from the rich because he needs to survive. Like it's not like the rich people, because the rich people don't even notice that because they're so rich they don't get bothered. But to like the poor people, it affects their daily lives and how they survive. So obviously they're gonna come up and leech off of that because they need that for survival. The rich people don't know anything that's going on because they don't really see that. They're so rich, they have so much resources of that. And then just at the end when the son said that I'm going to go to school and finish school and I'm going to buy the house, and he finally bought the house, and then the scene went back to him in the basement. It kind of showed that it was just his imagination, which he never bought the house at all.
Yeah, I think that was open to interpretation. Some people say that like it never happens because in the actual Korean society, it's really impossible to get there. If you're already poor, there's really no way you can make it. And then there's also the he did make it, so it's kind of like to your interpretation.
Yeah.
Like the way I felt like he actually made it because that was kind of like my happy ending to it.
Yeah.
It's like my
Yeah.
personal way I interpreted it. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I feel like what's great about this film not being American made or Hollywood made is you kind of gotta put yourself in that ethnic perspective, right? A Korean perspective. I took the movie, the ending. He that's his plan, but how I took it was he'll never achieve it, right? Doing the research, a lot of Korean people said, in Korea it's a pyramid society. Once you're at the bottom, the reality is you're not gonna make it out on top. And interesting thing, there was a scene I read. I think it was, I think it was when his dad was in the basement and he's imagining himself going to school, being successful, and then buying the house. There was a song that was playing, and I read this thing that said the song that was playing was called like 1,097 years because that's how long it'll take him to buy the house.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
So like I don't know if that's true, but like
Like all these little just
yeah,
small hints, like they kind of like makes you think a lot.
yeah, like all these like next level like director, what the director was thinking and all the thoughts he put into it, and just finding out little small things like that kind of make you appreciate it more too. Yeah,
Yeah. So that being said, what do you guys rate this movie then? I'd rate it a 4 out of 5. Even though I said it's one of the best movies I've seen of that year when it came out. I'd say that I don't really rate anything 5 out of 5, unless it's something that I live and die on. But this is still something that was an awesome movie that I feel like people will look back and probably even teach the cinematography of how this movie was shot, which was really good.
I'll give it a 4 out of 5 too. I thought it was a really good movie. Everything about it was good, but it's for me personally, it's not a movie I'll go back to watch to all time. It's just those movies, right? Like when you watch it, you want to watch it again to understand it, but after that, like for me, I'm not gonna watch it again. Yeah, it's a good movie, but it's not one of my up there movies. I would say.
I would give it a 4.5 out of 5, just because I really enjoyed it. Being someone who's really into the technical aspects of filmmaking, you you're like, wow, this guy really, really took the cinematography to another level. So I give it a 4.5 out of 5, and especially because if I recommend it to, it's a movie I would recommend to people. So yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah.
So, do you guys feel that this set Asian people back or forward? I feel like it set Asian people forward, just being a Korean film itself. Like it's not like they went to Hollywood and told them, "Hey, put all Asian people in this film." They created in Korea and came to the U.S. It came pretty much all around the world, and a lot of people loved it. And I feel like no one really watches, or non-Asians who's non-Asian or whoever only speaks English. They don't ever watch a movie or really watch a movie that has subtitles in it. When it has subtitles in it, they get turned off away from it. So for people to watch them who's maybe like white or just not just doesn't speak another language, for them to watch it and see that it has subtitles and for them to watch the entire video movie, I think that's really powerful because I see a lot of people who also say negative things about the movie. They say what? So I don't want to read subtitles in the movie. And that's just people who still set back then. They don't want to grow and watch different types of movies. But for it to be this big to the point where it's not dubbed in English, thank God. The fact that it's subtitled and it's still showing their original language, that to me, I think it sets Asian people forward, and possibly will show many more Asian or not even Asian, just different type of ethnicity movies that has subtitles that the American market will want to watch.
Yep, I agree. I'm always for making subtitles a norm in America. Man, I hate American remakes. I hate dubs.
Yeah.
For real.
And when I saw that this movie was being shown in America with subtitles, I'm like, hell yeah, because this needs to be a normal thing. I feel like I'm not missing out, but a lot of people who just want to stick to English speaking movies, you guys are missing out. Again, I think Korean thriller movies or Korean movies in general, they're like some of the best movies I've ever seen. But it definitely is. It definitely did, put the Asian community in film forward. Come on, normalizing subtitles, normalizing watching a movie that's not been done by Hollywood. Uh, yeah, that's what I gotta say to it. It did push the community forward.
Yeah, for sure. Moved it forward. Like who was saying, it's a Korean film that it wasn't forced into the American society. It was just a Korean film that was so big that it was almost like America was. They like this. They just had to like they had to bring it to America because it was so good. So it wasn't like, oh, this was made in Hollywood. It was made in Korea, and it was so good that USA had to show it, and of course, it won a bunch of American awards. So yeah, I definitely moved forward for me.
All right, talking about normalizing subtitled movies in America, not too long afterwards, Hollywood, in my opinion, took a step back and made a fully casted Asian film speaking English. And now we're gonna talk about Mulan, the live action film based on the classic, perfect Disney animation Mulan. Starting off, my thoughts about that movie. I don't hate that movie, but I don't like it either. And when I said, it's a film, even though it's a fantasy fake film based, it's based in China. So why are they speaking English? What happened to when the Parasite came in and everybody's watching it, they're reading subtitles? Why did this movie come out with a step back in a setting where they shouldn't be speaking English? Why did that happen again? And the storyline sucked. It was really choppy. For example, I didn't like one example out of many. They're having a war, and they're like, left flank, move, and it's 4 guys. Left flank is 4 guys, and then Mulan's part of those left flanks. And then she's chasing them, and they disappear, and then she has a battle with the witch. Like, that just doesn't make sense at all. Like, it feels so forced. It wasn't natural. It wasn't well written. Mulan wanted a message about women power, but she herself was born with a special chi ability. It just didn't make sense. I don't hate it, but I don't like it, to be honest.
Oh right, yeah, Mulan, yeah.
Salo, you got a lot to say.
I don't like the film. Again, I don't hate it too. It's a very forgetful movie. The most exciting thing about that movie for me was the Hmong actor. Like seeing Duo Moore being cast in the movie was the only reason why I wanted to watch it. And I think a big part of it too was I wasn't really a big fan of the original animation anyways, the original Mulan.
Really?
Like I was like, oh, that's a cool
hell
movie.
no, yeah.
But I wasn't like, ooh, like this is one of my favorite Disney movies. But then I actually do second Kong. Like I actually disagree with Kong on this movie should have been casted in Chinese. Like the original animation is English, so why would they, bring it out in Chinese? Because a lot of Americans seen that movie. It wasn't a movie made for Asian people in general. It was an American-made movie that was about Chinese people. So, all of a sudden, if they release it in Chinese, Americans gonna be like, "Why the hell is Mulan in Chinese?" Like, I can't.
Hey,
the original
Parasite paved the way.
The original one was.
I get what you're saying.
The original one was English, so why would it? Yeah, But to me, I guess I don't really care about that. But yeah, I mean, the movie was very forgetful for me. I didn't care. There's nothing memorable about the movie. Like there's nothing impactful, nothing emotional drawing me in, saying, "Dang, I really want this Mulan girl to do what she has to do." And again, the most exciting thing was just seeing Duo Mo in there for me. That's it.
Yeah, I was really disappointed. I didn't like the movie at all. I do agree with you with the English language. I feel like it was more towards the English market because the reason why it's so big for it to have a whole Asian cast, because this is Hollywood. This is for the American viewers. Because if you're thinking about just a straight up Asian cast, there's so many Asian movies out there that just Asian cast, all of it. But this one was, I feel like it's specifically for Hollywood and just the general American viewers to watch. The reason why I was so disappointed was it's not because it was somehow different from the original one. It's just there wasn't really any struggle. I understand the woman empowerment. From the very beginning of the movie when the dad was supporting his daughter, because the mom was like, why you don't have her show off her skills and her chi and all that stuff, but the dad was supportive of it, and all of a sudden the dad was telling her, you should know your place. What? Like how? When did this change? No, that makes no sense.
Yeah.
So I was like, wait, what? I don't get it. You were so supportive. Now what? Now you're doing this? The heck? And then this it changed because she was born that to have a chi, right? So she has some superpower, I guess. And then when it came to her going to the army and training, there wasn't really any struggles that she had to go through. She could do everything. She did this.
She had a
did
cheat
that,
code.
super easier. Yeah, she carried the freaking water super easy and all this stuff. And there wasn't really any struggles she had to go through. I know the struggle she had to go through was being a woman, but when she disguised as a man, she could just do all these things. But still, it's kind of like the original Disney movie. She actually struggled. You know, she actually did all these stuff and worked hard. And then when this one came out, she just did everything so easy. And one thing why I liked about the previous movies like Parasite, because they actually showed like a struggle that they went through. But this one, it was just okay. You could do everything so easy. All of a sudden, even like, who is it? The witch. That stuff didn't really make sense to me because they just fought, and I wish, uh, the other enemy who said he could kill the witch so easily, she has so much power that she could have killed everyone, but she didn't do it. So I thought, what the heck? And towards the end, she just kind of, I feel like she kind of let herself die. I'm like, what? I guess. But then I just didn't really like it. It was just so many flaws to the point where I'm like, what? It was really any struggle or like any conflict that she actually went through besides I feel like her being a woman, which that I do feel that, and I feel like okay, yeah, that's a struggle. But other than that, there wasn't really, like the storyline didn't fit well.
I disagree.
yeah.
Yeah. She did struggle. Her struggle was she could have used her special powers. She could have shown it to the end that she could become Superman.
Even the fighting scenes were so whack. I hate the fighting scenes. I say I hate it like I hate it.
Yeah, it was not.
I watched the fighting scene, it was so trash. I did not like it at all.
Alright.
I thought like, all right, I did not like this.
I want to say two things. First thing, do you guys think Jet Li's voice was dubbed?
Dude, it was dumb.
That did not sound like Jet Li,
Yeah,
bro.
that
I
sounded
was so
like Jet Li.
annoyed. I was so
That
annoyed.
dude's
when
voice
heard
was
his
dumb.
That's
I
so
heard that
whack.
Jelly didn't like the script too and stuff. So I just heard like he didn't like the script at all.
I don't
I
blame
totally
him.
forgot about that. That's
Right?
crazy. I remember being so irritated by that. Like, yo, this is not Jet Li's voice. I've heard his voice from the American movies like The One and all his other American
Kiss
movies.
of
You know,
the-
yeah, Kiss the Dragon, and like his voice does not sound like that. That shit was
Yeah.
whack.
Hey, they're Asian, but they can't have an accent, man.
That is trash. I did not
Alright.
like it at all.
Second thing I want to bring up. You know the characters. You know who's Yao, who's Ling. Did you know who was who out of the guy characters? Did you know the Hmong guy was Yao, the fat dude? Did you know this other dude was Ling, the short guy? Did you know? Because I did not know who was who.
I didn't know off the bat until because the fat guy was kind of like the dumber guy, right? And the silly guy, right?
Yep.
And Duo was the guy kind of acting silly and everything. So that was the only reason I know. Oh, okay, that's the big guy. Yeah, but physically they didn't match the animation.
Yeah, I didn't know, but I feel like I didn't care because
Yeah.
they didn't implement their character to the story as well. That's the reason why I hate it too, because I feel like they were just there to be there. They didn't. I feel like there wasn't really character building with them. You know, like the original Mulan, there was actually character building, and I guess the music with the little musical scenes kind of added to it. But this part was just there as like just being the side, talk a little bit and then disappear. There wasn't really any connection. I feel like. So that's why when I saw them, I can't tell the difference. I don't care because the movie never built the character up to the point where I would care.
All right. Yup. Good point.
With Mulan too, like I didn't really care. They didn't build up Mulan like that. Even the little Mushu dude, like who the hell is this dude? Oh, this is supposed to be Mushu.
All right. Going to the rating. What would you rate this movie? You want me to start?
Man, I'll do 1 out of 5. You already know my reason.
1 out of 5. I'll never watch this movie.
Yeah.
Never get one.
0.5 out of 5.
Yeah, 1 out of 5. Forgetful movie.
And then just saying, I understand how powerful this movie could be and the hype that it was because I was excited too. But just the fact that how it was executed, I gotta say it's trash. You can't honestly watch it and like just taking out it being fully Asian casted, just taking all that out, just the story, the script, how the fighting scenes were shot. I do not like it. I know so many Asian movies that's just outside of Hollywood that I would choose to watch over this.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's a Hollywood movie don't mean that we need to watch it. We don't need to be accepted by Hollywood. Why the hell we gotta be accepted by this so they can see? No, screw that. That's why we have a movie like Parasite where they're not trying to do something that Hollywood's doing. But yeah, that's the reason. I'm just ranting.
I agree. All right. I think we kind of know where this conversation will go, but did this movie set Asian movies forward or backwards?
We went back to Mulan time. I'm just kidding. We went back. I don't know. I feel like this backwardish, but it's not backward. It's not definitely not forward because to me it's really, I would say it's one of the worst fully casted Asian movies in general, and that's a lot to say.
Kong?
This movie set Asian movies back, man. I was so disappointed, seeing Crazy Rich Asian, and then Parasite. Now you're like, all right, is Hollywood gonna give us what we want? They're like, oh, they just want another Asian film. It's just gotta be Asian cast. Screw everything else. Boom, Asian cast, but everything else was trash, man. And yeah, I think it set it backwards. It was trash.
Yeah. I feel like it doesn't set it forward or backward because at the end of the day, it is a Disney film and Disney is an American film company. So it's cool that they just remade Mulan. But I don't think it's set forward or backward. It's kind of just dope that, okay, they wanted to touch back on a film that they made that is about Chinese people. So, man, if it was like an Asian film and then they try to like push it to Hollywood, then it'd be like, oh, dang, they hella pushed it back. But overall, the movie was bad, so that's probably why we're feeling the way we feel, But yeah, I don't think it forward
There
or
was
backwards.
such a high budget to this damn movie.
Yeah. And they had all these superstars,
I know,
Jet
man.
Li.
How you have Jet Li and
Johnny
dub
Depp.
his ass?
That's why I said you set it back because such a high budget.
Yeah.
You had all these stars to attract everyone to watch it, and then to display like this, you set it back. You just set it back because just the previous movie we talked about kind of even if I said for Gran Torino, like I didn't really set anywhere, but it still kind of just showed something. And then for this to come out, to me it didn't really show anything.
Mm-hmm.
It just was there because the hype from the Mulan Disney movie,
Mm-hmm.
the animated one.
It's just Hollywood. Hey, yeah, you guys want an Asian cast movie? Here you go.
And then I understand the Hmong actor was like saying, "Oh, why are you guys bootlegging?" Like, okay, I didn't bootleg.
I didn't
Our
bootleg,
brother bought the
Disney.
thing to watch. I watched it, so we didn't bootleg. But it was disappointed. So I can understand why people didn't want to watch it because of the reviews. And if you're supposed to support it because it's fully Asian cast, I feel like that's
I
kind of like you're
disagree.
just forcing people to go watch something.
I disagree. Yeah, I disagree. Man.
That's
Like making the argument. If you want to support a diverse cast, go watch Avatar: The Last Airbender, the live action. Like, that's such a horrible movie. You know, no one. You just gotta be real. A trash movie is a trash movie, man.
what you just agree with what I said. Then?
Yeah, no, yeah, I agree with you.
Oh,
That's
you
what
s-
I'm
I thought
saying.
you, oh, I thought you said I disagree.
I'm disagreeing with the actor duel
oh,
about
yeah.
supporting Mulan if you want to see a fully Asian cast movie. Like, no, I don't agree with that. I get where he's coming from, but I don't agree.
Yeah, I get it. I understand the support because there's not really much Hollywood Asian movies specifically for Asians, but you gotta do something better than this. I'm not just gonna be like, okay, I'd rather just watch an Asian movie from like another Asian country and support that than watching this this trash stuff.
All right, everyone, that's a wrap. We had a lot to come off our chest about some of these movies. You know, we talked about Gran Torino, Crazy Rich Asians, Mulan, and Parasite. Thank you guys for joining us. Any last words?
Yeah, yeah. You know, this is a long one, but we had a lot to say about these movies. Leave a comment. Give us your thoughts on what you thought about the movie. That's all I gotta say. Thanks for listening.
Thank you guys for all the support. We see you, and just know that we're noticing everyone's support. Thank you so much.
All right, and before we close it off, give a comment about each of these movies. We love the interactions. We do want to hear what you guys have to say. Thank you guys. We're out. Peace.